It's Monday, October 17th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central Podcast, show number 714. Yes, podcast, not podcast. Sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Geek News Central is also sponsored in part by GoToMeeting, now with HD Faces, the world's best web conferencing solution. Get your free trial at GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button and use the promo code podcast. Everyone got a great show lined up for you here, and I think I'm ready to go. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all our great content. We've got a bevy of writers that put up content daily for you, so you'll be able to visit every day and get fresh tech news and commentary. Of course, you can get subscribed to all the shows at Geek News Central by simply going over to the website at geeknewscentral.com and basically subscribing to the show. You'll find a link to the website in the second column of the website. And like always, let's see if I can pull this up for you. There we go. And you'll see basically in the second column of the website, there is a huge orange box. And that orange box really is a place to go to find your links for iTunes, Zune Marketplace, whatever RSS feed you want to get subscribed to. Of course, we've got my show, the audio portion and the video portion. We've got special media events, which is going to be coming live here in the next few weeks. We've got the morning tech show. We'll talk about that here in a few more minutes. Gadget Professor, and we're still looking for a new replacement for Robot Underpants. Langley's got to get back with me. Last I heard, he might again have somebody on board. I don't know, but we'll find out. But anyway, that's a great way to get subscribed to the shows, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. Of course, sign up for the newsletter as well. The newsletter is, well, except for today, those of you on the newsletter inadvertently got an email from me that I was trying to send over to our writer team. And some of you said, hey, did your email get hacked? I'm like, no, it didn't. It was just operator error. So I apologize for you guys that are on the newsletter for getting an extra mailing today that you probably read and said, that doesn't make any sense. But you got a product demo from some folks that wanted to promote a new product out there. So I don't know if you read it or not or just tossed it in the trash. But try not to do that to you. And I think that's the first time that's actually happened. But sign up for the newsletter, and that'll get you all the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show. And it basically contains everything that's in the actual regular blog post as well. So that's the beauty of it. You'll be able to get it right there in your email. And then it'll remind you that the show's out as well. Of course, if you want to watch us, you can watch us on the Roku or on the Boxee or the Samsung Smart TV. We've been talking with the Samsung folks, and I noticed a new Samsung Blu-ray player I bought did not have the Tech Podcast channel on that device. And it turns out that we are in a segment of the Samsung Smart TVs. So we're actually right now in the middle of rushing through and doing quick testing on some 2011 models to make sure there's no issues before you'll see it migrate across all devices. I think there's a total of 7 or 8 Samsung devices that are smart, basically IP-connected TVs. So I think we're in about 4 of them. So the other half we'll be able to knock out and hopefully get up and approved here in the next week or so. But I was basically, Angela, where's the channel in this new Blu-ray player? Well, I don't know. And we fired a message off to our rep at Samsung. And they said, oh, yeah, you didn't know? And we're like, no, we didn't know, but we know now. So that's getting fixed. Hey, if you've got comments on the show, of course, we want you to you can either send me a Twitter at Geek News, or of course you can email me at geeknews@gmail.com. You can call the voicemail hotline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as well at 619-342-7365. Make sure when you call, you speak up and tell me your name. If you've got a website, tell me your website, or if you've got a show, be very clear. We want to give you some credit when you call in and make comments. And that way I can also, sometimes it's difficult to hear the voice calls because you're either driving down the highway or whatever. So, just pick it up about 10% on the modulation, and that will help us. What else is going on here? Just wanted to, we got a lot going on, and the podcast awards are in full swing right now with nominations going on, voting, excuse me. So we've got, how many days left? I guess about 10 days left of voting before that wraps up. I'm getting ready for Blog World. I've got 2 separate speaking parts at Blog World. One is kind of a panel. The other one is a full-fledged session that is my own. We're going to be talking about podcasting and, of course, WordPress websites and how to get to maximize your value. Of course, anyone with a website, no matter if it's on a WordPress site or whatever, are going to get some great tips out of my session. It's basically the things that people are missing, the content creators are missing on their websites. We're going to give them some tips, and we're going to talk about the state of podcasting as well. So if you're coming to Blog World, we want to see you. I've got a promo code. Let me see if I can find that promo code for you. If you want to sign up for a floor pass that are really cheap, I think they're $20. But if you want to sign up for any of the sessions at the event, if you use the code BWEVIP20, it's BWEVIP20, you can get 20% off on tickets to basically, that's if you want to sit down all the sessions and have the full pass. And the pass is pretty expensive. So, either way, whether you want to get the full pass or just get a floor pass and come out and see the vendors and talk, that would be great. But there is going to be a PodCamp LA going on the floor. I think they've got planned 8 sessions over 2 days. So that might be worth it for if you're within striking distance of Los Angeles to come down. And of course, if you're a listener, just come on down and say hi as well. So that's kind of cool. But of course, all of this would not be possible here without our sponsors. And of course, GoDaddy is one of our longtime sponsors here at the show. And we've got a brand new deal. And what we're going to be promoting here is this new offering launched today. It's called Website Tonight. And if you want a website but really don't have the technical chops to build one, this product by GoDaddy is pretty extraordinary. They have well over, and let me bring up the site for you to take a look. They have over 3,000 designs and color templates. They have 120 pre-built websites customized to fit your business or personal style. All you really got to do is change the text and images, and you're ready to go. And we've got this 20% offer going on, of course, as well on 12, 24, or 36-month plans. And the premium promotion starts at $14.99. The economy plan starts at $5.99. But with the premium, you get let me look at the total here, about $250 in ad credits on a variety of websites. So it's a great way to save money. And of course, actually it just pays for itself, and it actually pays for itself in a big way. But if you're not looking for a website, you're just looking for domains, you're looking to renew products that you currently have, I got a list of promo codes at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy for all the promo codes. And that's where you're going to find discount codes that run year-round and are available to you at any time to use. So this is the place you should stop before you go over to GoDaddy to pick up any products or services. Of course, we thank all of you that are supporting us at GoDaddy and buying your products and services for the net, their domain names and so forth. And we got a good lineup of stuff for you to save cash. And every time you use a code over at GoDaddy, that keeps them engaged here with this show. And we thank GoDaddy for being here now since basically July of 2005. So a long time. Well, I've been talking with the travel agent at Ford, and I'm definitely going out to the Ford event, but I am going to be leaving early. I'm going to be going out. As you guys know, my mom is building a house, and she lives in southern Michigan, so it works out pretty good for me to basically get Ford to pay for an airline ticket, get to go home, see family, and then go to the Ford event, and then boom, back to LA for Blog World. So the plan is right now to fly out to Friday the 30th of October. Gets me into, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong calendar. Leave on Friday the 28th. That gets me into Detroit on Saturday the 29th midday. And then I'll be in southern Michigan on Sunday the 30th, Monday the 31st. And then Tuesday the 1st, I have to leave to go back to Dearborn, to the Ford facility for that event. And then I fly out the night of the 2nd to Los Angeles. Then we'll be in Los Angeles the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Now, the travel plans continue from there. I leave out of Los Angeles on the 6th, and I go to Washington, D.C. So I'm going to be in D.C. the entire week of November 6th or November 7th. I'm actually going to fly out on Friday the 11th. There may be some opportunities for a meetup in D.C. non-show nights. So the show notes are obviously Mondays and Thursdays. So that leaves really Tuesday the 8th and Wednesday the 9th. So I'll make a decision as we get closer to that time frame. But if you're within striking distance of Washington, D.C., we can have a meetup. Like, come out and have dinner on me. It'll be great to meet up with the fans in the D.C. area or D.C. proper. I'm actually going to be in Fairfax is where I'm going to be staying. So anyway, that's kind of the travel plans on what's going on. And hope that you guys can connect up with me. I'll be on both coasts for a couple of weeks there. Back and forth, actually, so racking up some frequent flyer miles. And of course, this past Saturday, we had the Saturday morning tech show, and we really, I had this whole agenda of stuff that we were going to talk about during the show, and I think we got into 2 articles. We started into talking about iOS 5 and the new phones that have come out, and boy, I tell you, it diverged and went everywhere from there. I had Rob Greenlee from Zune, the Zune market manager for podcasting, on the show at Andy McCaskey for RVNN.TV, and it just went all over the place, and we went for an hour and 48 minutes. It was a good one. The last 2 Saturday morning techs have had these great in-depth conversations, and I think if everything works right, what I'll do this weekend, this coming Saturday, which we'll do another Saturday morning tech. I'm going to try to get the bloggers, the folks that are writers for Geek News Central in on a Google Hangout. We'll get some TPN people in and just kind of do another hangout. That's always been fun for Saturday morning tech and have great conversation. So that'll kind of be the plan for this coming Saturday show. And we'll be putting the word out to all the participants or potential participants tomorrow about that. But that kind of wraps it up on announcements here. Of course, again, geeknews@gmail.com. Action hotline is 619-342-7365. Take care of the last piece of business here, and we'll get right into the tech stuff. There's a huge stack in my pile for you to go over tonight. But, with everyone working on the go, we're all on the move. You look at me, I'm crossing the country a couple of times. It's going to be nearly impossible for me to do a normal meeting. And really being able to hold an impromptu meeting anywhere, anytime is very critical at this point. So with GoToMeeting by Citrix, you can host your meeting online from your computer while your attendees attend either via an iPad or an iPhone or an Android mobile device. And with the GoToMeeting app installed on their mobile device, they can really attend their online session with you and just by watching the screen of their mobile phone. So it's kind of cool. They can sit and just watch the meeting going down and can hear and talk back and forth. It's really awesome. They can see the host desktop right from their smartphone, and I can do the same. I can attend other meetings as well. So, matter of fact, I had a meeting this morning with I can't say because I'm under NDA. I had this meeting with a big firm this morning about a new product launch coming in November. And, I was basically on my iPad, in my car, in my kids' school's parking lot. And little did he know, he didn't know I was at the office. So I was able to do the meeting right there and watch what he had to present to me. It was pretty cool. So I highly recommend GoToMeeting. It's going to change the way you work. and I want you to try GoToMeeting free today. First of all, get the app. Go to the App Store and or the Android Marketplace and download the free app. And as a host of your own meeting, you can host one free for 30 days on me, or multiple ones for me for 30 days. All you got to do is visit GoToMeeting.com. Again, visit GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button and use the promo code podcast. So it's really simple. You get over there, click the orange button, try it free. It loads a page up. All you got to do is put your information in there. Again, enter that promo code podcast, and you got your free 30-day trial on me. Thanks for GoToMeeting for being a sponsor here. Okay, as a friendly reminder, cafepress.com/Ohana store. That's where you can get Ohana wear. All kinds of stuff there, T-shirts, mugs, jackets. And for those of you that are starting to cool off in the part of the country, there's some hoodies there and some cool stuff. So pick up your Ohana wear at cafepress.com/Ohana store. All right, what have I got in the stack here? Let me go ahead and load up Chrome. And you know what I'm finding with Chrome? Here's a little trick I have found. I look everything up in Google Reader, and then whatever I get from listeners, that kind of goes in another pile. And there's some stuff I find in some other sources. But on Google Reader, I basically star all of the stuff I'm going to talk about during the day. And as I'm looking at stuff, and then I load it at just before showtime, just boom, 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 boom. I go through and load all the tabs. Well, Chrome, if you do that, 9 out of 10 times it will fail when you just try to slowly open up 30 tabs. But if it fails once, it seems like it comes up and it allocates memory different. So there must be a bug that it doesn't know enough to spawn another instance or something on another CPU, because that's what's happening. And so I've just learned now, when I get to about 30 tabs, stop, close the browser, reload it, let it reload the tabs, and it works good. But if you don't, it will kill itself. It really will. All right, first article up tonight is a great article that was put up on Geek News Central by Suzabel. And I don't normally start with articles that come straight off the website, because you guys have already been over at GNC reading the commentary for today. But she's got an article about suspended for complaining about spam and the overreaction of a college, and it's all about privacy. And here's the deal. The student really didn't want a debit card, but he had to have one so that in a bank account, so that his student loan could be processed. Basically, they dumped the money in there, then the school could take it, and he'd had to have a debit card to do a number of financial transactions on base in the college. And what he was upset about was, as soon as he opened the debit account, he immediately started getting mailings from credit card companies offering him credit cards. And he was pretty frustrated, because it was obvious that the bank that had given him the debit card immediately sold his information. And he went on Facebook and complained about it quite a little bit. And it's not a good situation for him. He complained to the point where he said he was going to hack him, or somebody has a virus, and the school took it so seriously they suspended him for 2 semesters. And it's not, he basically was upset over the privacy part. And he says, I don't want my information sold, but they did. Now, he may get a rehearing by the school, and he might be able to, I don't know what's going to end up happening here, because he really didn't get a chance to explain himself. But we will see what happens with this. But, business practices like this that sell our information, something that us as adults are probably all very well used to. And it's good to see that this individual was at least cognizant of the fact that his data was being sold, and he didn't like it. So I'm glad that there's some younger people that are aware what's going on. But I just can't believe that the school did not have some policy in effect with the company that made him set up the debit account. Now, here's the thing. Is the school getting a kickback? Are they getting a percentage? So how many of you have done banking with the same bank your whole life? How many of you set up that banking account when you were in college? how many of you did it through the school and set up a credit card through the school? How many dollars has your school earned over your lifetime for selling that information or making that information available to a banking institution? It makes you really wonder, doesn't it? And you wonder if there's, a lifetime of money that comes back or percentage it does for that introduction. What a time to get someone, right? They're just graduating high school. They're going into their freshman year of college. Most of them probably don't have very much credit, maybe a little, but they're a clean slate, right? And, the banks understand that the lifetime earnings potential of this individual is going to be many millions of dollars in most regards. So guess what? They can immediately start targeting them for credit and for bank offers. So I don't think this is anything new, but it is interesting that he fought back. But the retribution put upon him on suspending him for fighting back is what was quite opening. A little more on privacy things. Those of you that are Verizon customers, matter of fact, I got this. I got a little notice. It was one of those little half folded over pieces of paper. You guys know I've got a Verizon MiFi card, and they sent me this thing, and I went through and I read it, and I just shook my head. And 9 out of 10 times, most of you probably don't even read those things. They open it and say, it's something to do with privacy. But what has happened is Verizon has changed their privacy policy, stating that they're going to now share your user location data, web browsing history, and demographic information with marketeers. Now, again, they're going to be sharing your user location data. So in other words, they know, marketeers are going to know where you park your car, where you go to work, where you shop, and whatever else you do that's no one else's doggone business. And the next thing they're going to know is what kind of websites you visit. So in other words, if you're visiting a medical site, you're visiting adult website, if you're visiting a movie site, if you're researching for a product, if you're looking at a car, Verizon's going to share that information with the marketeer. They're going to share your demographic. They're going to tell them how old you are, what sex you are, probably what your sexual preference is. They're probably going to even know how many kids you have or no kids. And then that marketeer, even though they don't have your name, because Verizon is insisting that they're not going to provide third parties with any information identifying a user on a personal basis. I'm not stupid here, because if they're going to share the location data, I can load my phone up right now and it tell me exactly where I'm sitting in my house. Not within my block. It shows me where I'm sitting in my house. So all they got to do is take that location data, cross-check that with known databases of addresses. And they say, hey, Todd lives at this. He's using his phone to go to these different places. He's surfing this stuff up on the web. This is, oh my goodness. We're getting tagged in a multitude of online places. And we are now going beyond. The situation is getting to the point where we have no privacy. Now, as users, I want you to pay attention here. This article I'm going to link you to is up on PC World, and I'm going to link to this. And all of you that are Verizon customers, you need to go to the My Choices section of the Verizon website, the My Privacy page, or call the company, and you can opt out. All right? So you can opt out of this targeting that they're going to do on you. So I think we all need to look real close at our relationships with the people we're doing business with and really pay attention to the privacy statements they're sending. Your banks are sending these to you every year, an annual privacy notice. Verizon obviously just updated theirs. We all need to look at how we're connecting to the internet and the companies we're using and what they're sharing with us. Okay. I think it's getting, do you guys think it's getting worse? Or do you think it's too late? Do you think they already know too much about us? Let's be honest. You know, I've said this many times on the show, and I'm still convinced of this. I'm sure that Google, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, our internet service providers, the websites we visit know more about us than our husbands or wives do. You know, because you can learn a lot about a person by what they do. And that's one thing I'm very hesitant at what we do at Raw Voice with our podcast stats. We never, ever release IP information we basically tell them the state. We don't narrow stuff down into a geographic location, but we break it out by state and basically what type of device. It just makes me it feels creepy to go deeper than that. We are able to see just on internal processing from shows to shows who is coming back on the same IP and grabbing the next episode, but we never really pull that. We don't break that out and say, you know, a listener in California pulled 5 of your shows in a row. We don't do that. We basically, you know, kind of isolate that information so that there can be no single way a user or a podcaster is able to say that, you know, Sally in New Jersey is the one listening to my show. But with this type of data, you know, a marketeer could very easily find information about you that maybe you don't want them to know. I just think it's creepy they're sharing our browser history. Doesn't it appall you? It just appalls me. It really, really does. I saw this article on Google Plus, or actually I saw this video on Google Plus, and I watched it, and I understand the point that they were making this video. But what it is, this thing went viral. It's a small child, not yet able to walk, playing with an iPad and just moving the screen around and having a good time. You know how stuff moves around. And then they switch out and give the child a magazine. And the child is touching the magazine. You can tell they're trying to touch something. It looks like they're trying to squeeze, you know, to try to change the page size. But the magazine doesn't do what the iPad does. And it's a very staged video. And really what they're trying to point out is that our children of today probably will never, ever read a real paper magazine. And by the time they get old enough to really care about that, you know, paper magazines will probably be gone and everything will be digital. And so we're facing a big change in society as, you know, you think about the youngest kids and where things are going to go. It's a good point, but it's cute. It's a cute video. Don't get me wrong. So, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to really be where things are completely headed at this point. But anyway, there's some good comments in the comments section, and I just think the child is totally staged, and they just tried to make a point, and they did. But loving you guys have your feedback on it. I'll have the link up in the show notes as well to that one. Hey, if you're a BlackBerry user, RIM is going to be offering you $100 worth of free apps. How does that make you feel? And matter of fact, they've given you a list of apps. You can pick up the Sim3, Bejeweled, Nova, Texas Hold'em, Photo Editor Ultimate, DriveSafe.ly Pro, iSpeech Translator Pro, Drive Safely Enterprise, Nobex Radio, Shazam Encore, Lingo Plus, Virtual Assistant. So these are the free apps they're going to give you for your email outage and the problems they had last week. So $100 worth of apps, and you're not going to give you any credit on your account. But let's see here. Is there anything in that list that would, Photo Editor Ultimate probably would be good. I don't know how good of a camera the BlackBerry has. DriveSafe.ly Pro, so much for that. iSpeech Translator Pro, maybe. I don't know what Nobex Radio does. I don't know what Shazam Encore does. I don't know what Lingo Plus does. But anyway, those are the free apps. Those apps are only worth $35. but they said they were going to give them $100 credit. Where's the other $65 coming from? So anyway, does that please you? I would think if I was a BlackBerry user, I'd rather have the money. Hey, Alan wrote up a good article on the new Sony iPod iPhone clock radio dock, and pretty nice little unit. Not as sexy as what you would expect primarily from from Sony, but I'll have that link up in the show notes on that. How many of you live in a big metropolitan area or even an area where you're worried about having UPS drop your Amazon package at your house? Well, Amazon is rolling out, we talked about this, lockers going into 7-Elevens and a variety of other locations, but Amazon lockers have basically launched in New York City. Now, I'm sure they're going to have overwhelming demand. They've only got, I think, 8 listings, places where you can go into businesses, and there's a locker there, and you use your smartphone to essentially unlock the locker and get access to your merchandise that's been delivered. But Seattle, London, now New York has launched with these Amazon delivery lockers, and but basically they're again just kind of an automated post office box, but it's specifically for Amazon products, and you get an email telling you where to go and what box is yours and the code to get into it. So it's all electronic. It's pretty decent, but a great way to get products dropped off by Amazon.com without having to be at the house. During the holidays, the UPS and FedEx drivers are just swamped. They get to your house. If you're not there, they just shove it in a corner and you just pray no one gets to it before you do. And I'm sure it's worse in major cities with buildings being locked down. And you have to have an access code even to get in the door. Even though most UPS drivers get smart and know how to bypass that, it's still in a high-rise building. You don't want your product sitting out inside your house because it's going to be gone by the time you get home. So this is a cool product feature by Amazon, and I see this rolling out in more places, and it helps them build market share. How many of you have ever gotten a bill from your mobile provider and it just be something that you weren't expecting? In other words, you get the $4,000 bill because your kid did 8,000 text messages on a 35 text message plan, or whatever it may be. You traveled somewhere internationally and was able to, use your phone, and you thought you were covered. Instead, you're paying $10 a minute for mobile coverage. Well, the FCC and CTIA have really been working together, and the FCC chairman says that this bill shock, what they're calling it, labeling it bill shock, has got to be fixed. And the department's teamed up with the CTIA and the Consumer Union to address the problem of unexpected mobile bill charges. And what they've done is they're going to ask for alerts about overages and international roaming sent to subscribers before they rack up bills they can't afford. And it's part of a plan talked about last year as part of something that a consumer task force realized was an issue. So they hope that this new plan and this new messaging will be completed within the next 12 months. I tell you, with kids on phones, I would like nothing more than all of a sudden to say, hey, your usage just went over X number of dollars. I'd be like, whoa, what's going on? So I think this is great. This is long overdue. And you get a text message just saying what the problem is, and you can adjust accordingly. Hey, remember those light neutrinos that went faster than the speed of light? Well, not so fast. Apparently, they did some studying, and they determined that the GPS satellites used to measure the departure and arrival times of racing neutrinos were themselves subject to Einstein's effects because they were in motion relative to the experiment, and this relative motion wasn't properly taken into account, but it would have decreased the neutrino's apparent journey time. The scientists calculated the error and came up with 64 nanoseconds. Now, does that number sound familiar? Yes, it does, because that was almost the exact margin by which CERN neutrinos were supposed to beat in the light. So, no, the speed of light so far is still the speed of light. And Einstein's theories of relativity are essentially still intact. So, good to know. And so that Einstein's predictions are still holding true. General Electric is building a new factory that's going to be putting out one solar panel every 10 seconds. I don't know if that's going to bring the price down on solar panels, but this is pretty impressive. If you live in Colorado and you're looking for a new job, I think GE is going to have one for you. And they're going to be doing a process. It is a thin film solar panel. Basically, it's a way to build solar panels cheaper. In traditional solar panels, sand is refined into silicon ingots, sliced wafers of which are then placed in a frame. And this new process, the thin film process, eliminates this. And what they do is they sandwich layers of semiconductors between panes of glass, saving time and money, and of course, more importantly, energy. So we'll see where this goes, and we'll see if the cost of solar panels go down. If my price of if my electricity bill is like it was last month, I will be putting solar on this year. I'm serious. I could pay for a set of panels every year with the way my electricity bill was last month. I about had a heart attack. And that's why I spend all the money on green switches and everything else. So we're still investigating. Let me move this phone over here so that it doesn't do that. But anyway, that solar could be in the future here for the household, and I could afford to pay for it on a yearly basis based on last month's bill. All right, let's talk a little bit, not last article, let's talk about the camera showdown. And really, I've been doing a lot of, I held up an iPhone 4S and an iPhone 4 in an Apple store and held them together, and definitely the 4S has a brighter camera. It's pretty nice. But there was a showdown done on Engadget. And boy, I tell you, they have you guys ought to see this I'm going to show it to you, those who are watching. They have a super sophisticated way to compare video quality. Let me show this to you. They took a piece of cardboard, poked 5 holes in it, and put 5 cameras on. They tested iPhone 4S, iPhone 4, Galaxy S2, Nokia N8, and an Amaze 4G, and just basically figured out which one was the best. And so there's a big write-up here, and but they got a pretty good write-up, and I don't think they come into any specific conclusion, but they do have a video, and you're going to be able to see the comparisons by watching the video. It's a short 3-minute, 30-second video, and you can be your own judge. But I think the iPhone 4S is pretty doggone impressive, and just based on what I've seen, just looking at the pictures and actually looking at the camera themselves. So, and there was some stuff done where there was actually some comparisons made with the $3,000 prosumer camera up head to head against an iPhone 4S. And even though the camera had more depth of field than the mobile phone did, it's still pretty close side by side. So it's pretty amazing what they're packing into that small area in the iPhone. Tomorrow, the BlackBerry DevCon begins, and essentially, the folks at RIM are calling Android developers to have their apps ported for the BlackBerry playbook. Now, here's the thing. Why didn't BlackBerry just come out with a completely Droid-capable device where they could immediately plug into the different Android marketplaces? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, their DevCon begins tomorrow. We'll see what kind of news comes out of that and talk about it on Thursday's show. When the BlackBerry traffic was on halt in Abu Dhabi, what they found was that traffic accidents dropped 40% during the BlackBerry outage. So the UAE is scratching their head a little bit and couldn't believe that they saw that big of a downturn in automobile accidents. So it just goes to show you, when you're driving in the UAE, there's a lot of people reading email, doing texting or whatever else when they're not supposed to be in an automobile. I wonder what would happen here in the United States if they had an outage like that was across all phones. What would be a statistic that would come out? I see a lot of people looking at their phones and reading and doing things that they probably shouldn't be as I'm sitting on the highways, that's for sure. There's a good article over on Tech Dirt, and you guys know that I'm all about fair use. I'm about public domain. I'm about Creative Commons, and basically, I'm really against the expansion of lengthening copyrights for copyright holders, and it's already been extended a lot. So some folks are starting to fight back. The Wikimedia Foundation has been basically undertaking a variety of events where they tell people to go out and shoot with their cameras certain types of scenery. One they did recently, they basically told people to go out and shoot all the monuments in your area, historical monuments, places of interest, basically historical type places. And they had huge numbers, 100. And the first one that they did, 250 people in the Netherlands submitted 12,500 photos. And then there was another event where 5,000 people from Portugal to Estonia submitted 165,000 photos, all made available under free license and usable on the Wikimedia Commons website. So that was very, very cool. And here's the key part of these events that they're organizing is that they're requiring the submission of the pictures be made under a free license. And they're trying at this point, because so many pictures have gotten locked behind basically copyright and rights holders, that we all want access to photo libraries that we can use on our websites and a variety of different places. And luckily, this group, up to this point, has released, a huge number of photos, all of very famous places. Of course, we know Flickr has announced over 200 million photos on its own site. Some of those can only be used in non-commercial purposes. So there's about 18 million, which can be used even under a business atmosphere. But this is a great way for us to fight back against public domain erosion, is by taking pictures and then submitting them to sites like Wikimedia to make them in the public domain so that people have access to great pictures from different locations and different genres. And I think more of us should do that. I know that I'll be paying attention to that just when I'm out shooting specific things that would make sense, and we'll be submitting stuff. So I want you all to consider to doing that as well. Again, wikimedia.com, or maybe it's .org, but just search Wikimedia on Google. You'll find it. This is a weird one. And this story starts out great, but it kind of gets odd. Apparently, there was an author who was basically, they were looking for a, all right, let me back up here. What they were doing was they started a storyline on Reddit. And what was going on is a Reddit user by the name of, I'm not even going to name his Reddit name. He's an author named James Irwin. And he apparently is an author and a 2-time Jeopardy winner. And he was, they wrote about what would happen if today a modern military was battling the Romans. And they started an area on Reddit called Rome Sweet Rome. And what it did is it built into this big storyline of what would happen. Day one, they would how the transporting of military troops, and it was this whole fantasy type of story. But Warner Brothers got interested in this whole genre write-up, and they contacted this guy named James Irwin, and they bought the rights to his storyline, and with the potential that it was going to be made into a major movie. And so all this conversation from him stopped on Reddit, because basically Warner Brothers said, hey, we bought the rights to this. You can't write anymore on Reddit. You can't talk about this. So this whole sub community in Rome Sweet Rome on Reddit basically is no longer being added to, or if it is, it's being added to by people that are not James Irwin. And he says, it's kind of an interesting quote here. He says, unfortunately, I've not been able to spend time on Reddit. This is not because I think I'm too big for my britches now. The internet is chaotic give and take place, and that creates nightmares for a lawyered up industry based on lockdown IP rights. In a perfect world, I would be subreddit every day, but that's not what's best for the project. I want this to succeed, and that unfortunately means going dark for a while. I hope the folks in Rome Sweet Rome subreddit see this little mash note. I miss them. But Warner Brothers could have really allowed that whole story to take place and continue on, and they could have wrote their whole script from it. But that's not to be. Warner Brothers, being the major media company that they are, believes that once we own it, we lock it down, and it's not going to see the light of day until they feel like they can make it available via the light of day. And maybe never at all, because they buy the rights to a lot of movies and don't do anything. There was a little bit of a quibble over the time zone database, and a couple of individuals were maintaining the database, but they got sued by a company called Astrolab, who said, "Hey, the time zone database belongs to us." And so what's happened is those two individuals shut the site down, and they've turned it over to ICANN, and ICANN, by announcing that it was taking over the time zone database and going to continue to maintain it, basically also said, hey, we're also going to deal with any legal issues. So if Astrolab decides that they're going to try to sue us, bring it on. How can anyone have copyright control of the time zone database anyway? And that's, to me, it seems like that is, if anything's to be public domain, that would be. Well, email is 40 years old. I know many of you probably didn't realize it's that old, but in its rudimentary form, it's been around for 40 years, and may explain why our kids want to just text and message back and forth on Facebook, because they, maybe email's considered the old man thing to do until they get in business, I guess. But email's 40 years old. Hey, the BBC is covering a story on a new way to power medical implants called an internal biofuel cell. All right, conspiracy theorists, get your hats on here. The gadget, called a biofuel cell, uses glucose and oxygen at concentrations found inside the body to generate electricity. But basically, this group is the first in the world to demonstrate their device working while implanted in a living animal. If all goes to plan, within a decade or two, biofuel cells may be used to power a range of medical implants, from sensors and drug delivery devices to entire artificial organs. All you need to do to power them is eat a candy bar and drink a Coke. In 2010, they tested a fuel cell on a rat for 40 days and reported it worked flawlessly, producing a steadily electrical current throughout with no noticeable side effects on the rat's behavior physiology. Okay. Some of us science fiction fans, it's all about jacking us in, right? Using us as fuel sources. Probably not a very efficient one, but nonetheless, I think we all knew our bodies were capable of creating electricity. We just didn't know how much. You got to eat to keep that old new heart that you've got in yourself powered. Of course, I've been playing around with QR codes, and some other people have been too. And a guy did an experiment where he took a QR code and he put it on his key ring. And basically, when the person scanned the key ring or scanned the QR code, it would basically launch a text message on their text phone and say, "I found your keys." And pretty interesting story about how he basically got 2 of the 5 set of keys that he put out there as a test. But it is an interesting development. It is an interesting way to use a QR code. And I think it was a pretty cool experiment. But he talks about how some stuff, basically the process he went through to get the keys, that people did report back. I guess if your warranty key is bad enough, you just put a note on there: reward if found, call. That way, someone without a smartphone will be able to figure it out. All right, over on Information Week, there's a good write-up on iOS 5 features for the iPad. And that's the thing that we probably noticed the most right off the bat was, I don't want to watch your ad. Let me skip you. There we go. The first thing we really noticed was the ability to do the iTunes Wi-Fi sync, and some new features on Safari and how the browser actually works, and having the tabs across the top, which was kind of cool. The new multi-touch gestures were also nice, added to the iPad, and a variety of other things. But one thing I haven't really played with yet is iMessage. So I'm kind of wondering how many of you have played with iMessage. Of course, that's Apple's new push-based messaging service. I didn't even find an iMessage app, so it must work right in with the regular texting portion. But apparently, with the system smart enough to know if the number you're dialing is a iPhone or not. So that's pretty cool on what they've done there. And I'm sure much to the detriment of the mobile providers not wanting this to be available. Now, what they need to do is someone needs to come up with a hack and bridge the gap, between devices, and make this work on Android, make it work across all phones. So it doesn't matter who we send a message to, it gets there without having to traverse the likes of Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint. Over at VentureBeat.com, in their Silicon Beat section, the Uber Media CEO Bill Gross is launching a new site called Chime.in. It's launching today. You'll be able to if you're listening to the show now, you should be able to go over to Chime.in, except for those of you on the live stream. And basically what this is, it's a combination of really 2 or 3 different sites. They basically have brought in Facebook, Reddit, and a blogging feature, and they've tied it into one specific site, and they've got an app available via the iTunes App Store. I've looked at it, it's pretty cool. It's got some dig-like features as well, and but this is kind of an all-in-one type of thing. We'll see if this is going to happen, but Uber Media is responsible for some Twitter clients like Twidroid and Uber Twitter. So we will see what happens with this website, Chime.in. I'll definitely be checking it out tomorrow. It's gotten some initial good reviews. Of course, we got a big earnings call tomorrow with Apple, and it'll be exciting to see what they have to announce on their earnings call. We'll, of course, probably be promoting that they've got more than 4 million phones have been sold since the phones launched. Probably talking about how many iPads that they have sold, along with Mac sales, and, of course, how much cash do they have on hand. So we'll have to keep an eye out on what's going to be announced tomorrow during the earnings call, and if they make any reference to Steve Jobs as well. I also read somewhere that Apple is not spending as much per capita on R&D as other companies. Right now, they're spending about 2%, where some of the bigger companies are spending almost 4%. And so people are kind of scratching their head on how they're making these great gains with such a small R&D amount. I think it's all about working smarter, and they don't have to support such a huge product line. They've got their focuses, and I imagine that's where all their work goes. Now, there was a rumor today that Apple may be in the market to buy Netflix, which I thought was an interesting move, and might show that they're actually serious about Google TV, as I had kind of predicted. Only time will tell on that one. I don't know if Netflix has responded to that rumor or not. I've had the opportunity to see a lot of cool aircraft in my when I was in the Navy. Some stuff that I've done consulting in the past on. One thing I did get to see being built in its early days of construction was the Sophia aircraft, and that's the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy. And I didn't ever got to go in the aircraft. I got to see the outside of the aircraft, got to see it essentially being put together. And this is an amazing aircraft. It's got a telescope built into a 747. What is that? Hang on here, folks. I have something beeping in here. I have no idea what it is. Huh. I've got an alarm going off, and I don't know what. I have an idea what it is, but I've never heard it beep like this. So I'm going to turn the fan up in the studio. It's not that warm in here tonight. So I don't know what's causing that. You guys hear that in the background? Never had this happen during the show. So anyway, Sophia is actually let me play the video while I investigate my noise here. For those of you on audio, I'll cut this out later. Oh, it quit. Maybe turning the fan up helped. Yeah, it must be the case that the TriCaster in was overheating. So anyway, you guys there on the video can't see nothing that I've got up now, but this Sophia aircraft is got a telescope in it, and they can just do some amazing things. It's built into a 747, and just some great pictures here in this video as you walk through it. So you just can't believe that they've got all this gear inside a 747, and you can definitely see your taxpayer dollars at work here. But they're doing some amazing science with this. There's a good article on CNET about it, about the guy that was able to walk through it and take a look. So anyway, I'll have this up in the show notes. Watch the video, watch the description, listen to the scientists talk about the aircraft. But again, I got to see this thing when it was being built, when it was still green. Didn't even have a paint job on it. So it was under construction at an aircraft plant that I was visiting. So anyway, I have that link up in the show notes for you. And hopefully we have no more beeps in the studio here. Oh, man. All right, Jobs Memorial was filled with humor and music, reports say. The private memorial service held for Steve Jobs was an intimate affair. U2 frontman Bono performed Bob Dylan's song Every Grain of Sand. Joan Baez sang Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Longtime friends and Oracle CEO Larry Ellison talked about Steve and their walks and their talks. And there was a whole bunch of tech royalty there, of course. So anyway, a little bit of information is coming out about what happened at the memorial. You know this guy that's suing the Facebook founders, this guy by the name, what is his name? Paul Siglia. Boy, he has made the judge very unhappy. You know, this lawsuit has been going on for a year. And of course, Paul Siglia claims that he should be part owner in Facebook because he paid Mark Zuckerberg to design it. And apparently the judge has asked this individual to go ahead and give him all his email accounts and all his emails since 2003. Now, how many of us can say we can give a judge all our emails since 2003? Most of our emails deleted. But basically, this guy's told his lawyer to tell the judge he can't have it. He told him no. I am sure that this is going to go over well. I don't know what a judge can do, but he scheduled a hearing for next week or November 2nd to consider whether to force the guy to comply with the order. Now, what do you do to force the guy? You hold him in contempt if he decides he's not going to do it and throw him in jail? I guess that's if they can find him. He's supposedly living somewhere in Ireland versus living in the United States. So maybe he's a little bit worried about being arrested. Who knows? But this has turned into quite the fiasco. T-Mobile's announced some new unlimited 4G data plans. So if you're on T-Mobile and you want to have an unlimited 4G data plan, they do have them. You can spend about $60 a month to get the data plan, and you will not have to be on a contract. So that's pretty cool. So that's a new offering. T-Mobile trying to keep its head above water, seeing that it may not be acquired by AT&T. Those MacBooks that are being shipped out of China, well, there may be some slowdowns. Metal casting supplier in China has partially shut down their plant because of pollution issues. Local residents are saying that the plant stinks. There's some sort of strange odor coming from the complex. So I guess the plant has to drop their production down like 80% until Chinese officials come in and see what's stinking from the plant. So nice to know that our products being made in China are made in a green way. And that's across the board with all the products. Boy, I tell you, there's been a lot of people talking about Amazon and what they're doing to publishers and how they're eating their lunch and how this is the next disruptor. I'm not going to go into that any deeper because we've talked about that here on previous shows, but I'll have the link up in the show notes for you on that. How many of you have visited the website 500px.com? 500px.com is a photo sharing website, and if you're a photographer, you probably already know about this, but there are some absolutely amazing pictures on this site. But they've launched a new app, and it's experimenting jaw-dropping growth. And they're saying that when people load this app, they're flipping through an average of 80 photos per visit. The iPad now serves 50% of all their traffic. The app is on track to serve more than 1 million flips on Monday alone. The 500px for iPad is currently a top free photo app. And so definitely check it out, okay? This is huge. And some of these pictures are just remarkable. You're like, how did they do this? And you just wonder how many are natural pictures and how many are Photoshopped. I'm just going to, those of you that are watching, I'll give you a sneak peek here of the website. And, you know, take this scenery picture here alone. I mean, just amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know if they sell these or how it works, but, you know, it's just remarkable, some of these pictures. And I was pretty astonished. I wasted a little bit of time tonight going through it, but lots of, different types of filters, and it's just cool. It really is. So I have a link up in the show notes for you, 500px.com, and thanks to gigaohm.com for the article. All right, over on Gizmodo, there's a prediction right now that on August 12th, 1883, or hypothesis of what happened in 1883, apparently there was some scientists basically looking at the stars, and based upon observations made in a couple of observatories and some stuff that wasn't seen at some observatories, and I don't know how these guys were communicating this quickly between one another back then, but scientists today feel that there was potential to have these scientists in one area seeing a comet and those in another that didn't, where we almost got schwacked by a big one back in 1883. So I have the link up in the show notes on that. A lot of people are disputing some of this, but you never know. And I don't think scientists will ever know unless this thing is on its round trip and it's on its way back here in another few years. But nothing to say that that's the case. But you'd never know when a comet's going to round the corner and be on a dead end or a dead tracking towards planet Earth just because of the geometrics involved. Let's just hope not. Hey, Find My Friends has apparently destroyed its first marriage. And a guy bought his wife a new 4S and loaded it up with Find My Friends without her knowing. And she told her husband she was going over to a friend's house in East Village in Manhattan. And he'd been suspicious about her doing certain things. And she was able to find his friend, his wife, in an area of town that she wasn't supposed to be in, and basically say, well, I am filing for divorce. So technology and the iPhone 4S claims its first marriage. Okay, this is a product that only a geek and someone that is a heavy caffeine user can use. But it's called Arrow Shot. And what it looks like, it almost looks like a shotgun shell almost. And that's how it just kind of looks that way. But the Arrow Shot is a cartridge containing 6 to 8 puffs. Now, you're thinking, oh man, what kind of a drug is being delivered by this? Well, a vitamin B and 100 milligrams of caffeine. So if you don't want the sugar, but you need the caffeine hit, Arrow Shots are going to be coming available on the East Coast originally in about 90 days in Boston and New York. So when these things come out, we've got listeners in the New York area and Boston, of course. I'm going to want all of you to pick me up one of these, and I've got to try this. Being a caffeine junkie at times, anything, it's beautiful. No sugar, not half, just to get the caffeine and the pure caffeine, and no bad effects of having to drink sodas and stuff. Sounds like a plan for me. I'm sure all of you are just shaking your heads here, but come on, let's be honest. How many of you are caffeine junkies and would prefer to have the caffeine and not have to actually drink the beverage that caffeine's normally in and take the calorie hit? Oh man, these are going to get banned. Someone's going to load this thing up with stuff that they're not supposed to. That's for sure. There is a great video that was filmed essentially in Tel Aviv, and this video is amazing. And basically, it's a group of physics and astronomy students and professors showing off what's called quantum trapping. It's the effect of a magnet that's been supercooled with liquid nitrogen, and it is really pretty fascinating. And it's really awesome. And when you see it, you're gonna be like, "That is really cool." This is a video of the day. Link will be up in the show notes. If you're not astonished by what they do and how they lock the position, and it just shows you the power of magnets. And we've all seen some of this stuff, but what they really demoed was really cool, and the video they shot on it was fantastic. For those of you that are audio junkies, Moog has just crammed an incredible analog synth into an app. Now, a synth, of course, is a synthesizer, and what it does is basically you can use that to create all kinds of cool sound effects, and it's really pretty decent. I was playing with it. I had a blast. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It's available for 99 cents in the App Store for iPads, and it's going to cost $30 here in a couple of weeks. So go out and get this now. But you just search for Moog in the App Store. You're absolutely going to love this thing. It's a totally cool synth. You hook a audio up to your audio port. You can actually record on the device and create a file. This is just kind of fun stuff. It really, really is. It comes with some presets as well to kind of get your lay of the land. You can mess with it and change the sounds. 99 cents. Moog synthesizers were very, very, very expensive in the day. And to be able to get all of this in an iPad is really cool. It really is. And you'll geek out and let your kids play with it. They'll have a lot of fun. Also, Instapaper for iPad. I see a lot of people linking to articles on Geek News Central, putting them in their Instapapers. But Instapaper for iPad is available on the iPhone. It's a way to get your read the internet. So it's been upgraded and available. And pretty big reviews on it so far. A lot of people saying positive things. So check that out. Mark Cuban has a good write-up on basically his soapbox advice on the Occupy Wall Street movement and then some. He goes into some very eye-opening comments about what he would do if he was the OWS Grand Poobah, basically the kind of the leader of the movement, which I don't really think there is one. But I'm not going to go into all his details. We could talk a whole show just about this post. So I have it linked up in the show notes for you to review. Okay, the there's going to be a peak of meteorite showers on October 20th, so keep a heads up. It's called the Orionid, Orionid meteorite shower, and get someplace dark and watch this. A lot of fun to watch those meteorite showers. And also, an event of a lifetime for all of us is going to happen on June 5th, 2012. I want you to pay attention here. This is truly our last chance, all of us that are listening to the show, all of our kids' chance that are listening to the shows, and many people that haven't even been born yet. Coming in 2012, there is going to be a transit of Venus across the face of the sun. And we'll be able to see it, and it's an alignment that only happens twice every 120 years. The last time it happened was in 2004, so the second iteration's happening in 2012, June 5th in the United States, June 6th in Europe. There's a great video here about what they're doing to prepare and to record and watch and see this. So this is going to be a big event in the science space, and people all over the world are going to be trying to be in the right position to capture this. I guess a key watching area is going to be here in Hawaii. So I'm actually psyched about that. So anyway, just keep advised on that. That's coming, and we'll be talking more about it as we get closer to the date, but there's a great video on it as well. Hey, the folks from that's basically Galactic Suborbital Passenger Vehicle Spaceship 2, they got some great videos on that, and there's some news about some contracts they've signed and basically doing some suborbital flights for NASA. So congratulations to them. But more stuff on the independent, I guess for in other words, the independent space firms. So big news there. One last thing here on Siri. There were some comparisons done on Siri before the iPhone and Siri with the iPhone and how the results compare. I'll have the link up in the show notes for that to review. Siri's pretty cool. Of course, Google Voice is pretty cool too. But Siri, I think the difference between Siri and Google Voice is I think Siri kind of has a little bit of attitude. They did a lot of work on some of the canned responses it's supposed to do, which is cool. Hey, the first draft of the H.265 spec is due in February, and boy, this can't happen fast enough because video continues to grow. Bandwidth on the network continues to grow. H.265 spec, even though it's going to take more processing power to make the video smaller, we could see a 25 to 50% decrease in media file sizes with the new spec. So we'll look for that information coming out, that new spec in February of next year. I don't normally cover sports stories, but a lot of coaches now are basically handing out iPads to their team members, especially within the NFL. They're putting in playbooks, they're putting in schedules, they're putting in workout requirements, all this different things, and it's all built into their iPads and highly secure. Even's got features. If you don't put the right password in 3 times in a row, it destroys the team's playbook. You know, teams' playbooks are kind of like national defense secrets. They are very sensitive. But, you know, there's rules within the NFL, which I didn't know, that the NFL, you can't take a laptop on the field, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can't do. Can't even take, there's even some pictures you're not allowed to take, some types of pictures and so forth. But anyway, link will be up in the show notes on this, but just shows you how technology is changing even sports and some of the cool stuff they're doing with an iPad. And there's a great article over in the New York Times talking about a conference that was just held by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and they're basically putting together folks meeting together talking about the notion of a 100-year space exploration mission, and trying to come up with ideas on what we're going to need to do as a society, as a race, in order to explore other stars, and the work that's going to have to be gone into it, and whether we're going to say manned or unmanned, or make the spaceships capable of creating man when it's at their destination, whatever it may be. This is going to be a interesting thought process anyway. And pretty good article here on the New York Times. I'll have the link up in the show notes. Running late here on time. I do have some voicemails to play as well. But John C. Dvorak has a good article on PC World talking about, or PCMag.com, talking about the fake voice within and how voice recognition and the ability for computers to mimic and recreate a person's voice and its annotations is not that far away. They think already at the level we're at now with some of the software programs available that with just 6 hours of someone's speech capture, they would be able to have a computer respond in the same way I would, and normally as a live human. And this is kind of some scary stuff here because, there's all kinds of things that could be done. There's an opportunity for great fraud in the future. And I think John's onto something here, and it's a little bit out there, but we'll see at what point are they going to start doing intellectual property rights on our voice imprints. Skype founder is working on a new startup called Video, VDIO, pronounced video. And they're going to say, so what is video? Video lets you instantly watch the best in TV and movies right now. So we'll see where this goes, but it's a new startup by the Skype founder. Time will tell how this does. Molly Wood's very upset over Android and all the issues she's been having, the updates and the fragmentation and all the problems. Are you getting tired of the problems you're having with your Android, or are you quite happy with your Android? Molly Wood says, I'm just about done. So this is kind of curious. Android users are having problems iPhone users aren't necessarily having because there's so many scattered versions of Android out there now. And Lifehacker has a good article on, should I switch to iCloud from Google? Right now, I think Google Docs and everything, Google Gmail is still better than anything that is on my Mac or on my iPhone. I just don't think at this point, and iCloud serves a couple of purposes, but for the most part, I think I will be mostly on Google Docs after this, up until for the near future. If you've got problems with Siri and it's not able to connect to its server, they've got a quick fix on how you can do that. I'll have that link up in the show notes. Got a good article here from Trucker Tom talking about a transit case keypad for the iPad and how he was able to score a pretty good deal on a transit case and keypad during his travels. And he's got some discussion about that in the article. I'll have that linked up. Black Friday deals are already starting to kind of to pop around. Some pictures are leaking. And if you're a PlayStation 3 or been thinking about buying a PlayStation 3, there's going to be a bundle that looks to be pretty impressive that you may want to hold out for. And I'll have a link up in the show notes. But again, some Black Friday deals are starting to already pop. And finally, kind of a fun product. Microsoft has been working with their research division, has been working with CMU, which is Carnegie Mellon University, and they've come up with a Pocket Touch. Now, what this is it's the ability to put your hand on your phone through your pants, touch your pants, and rub your pants where your phone is to either tell it, turn the volume down, don't ring, silence. There's basically movements you can do on the outside of your clothes. I guess that's if the screen's facing outwards. But, that's great. That's just what we need. Another region to scratch our pants. No. Anyway, long story short, that's something they're working on. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to run long. Let me go ahead and play these voicemails. And, of course, I don't have them loaded, so let me load them real quick here. And we'll play these, and then we'll get into the email real quick. We'll go through that. So here comes the first. Let me turn the volume up. Here comes the first voicemail.
Hello, this is Richard Heisel. Just wanting to find out if any of the other listeners or you even has had this problem. I have recently bought a MacBook Pro, and since Apple released the update yesterday, I'm having a lot of problems with when it wakes up from sleep, the windows show up blank. Just a number of small problems. I just want to know if any of the other listeners had this problem, and if so, could you cover it on your next show? Let me know what to do. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, thanks for the call. You know, when you're having troubles like this, I don't know if you've got an Apple store that's close to you, but definitely make an appointment to go into the Genius Bar and have them, have them look at it. That doesn't sound like anything I've seen. And, there might be an issue with your computer. You may need some warranty work. If nothing else, I'm sure they'll get you straightened around. But definitely consider doing that. If anyone's got any ideas on the issue he's having, feel free to drop me a line and we'll cover it on the next show. Okay, here comes the next call.
Hey, Todd. This is Clint calling from Houston, Texas. I just wanted to relate to you my experience with getting the iPhone 4S. I did pre-order the iPhone 4S from Best Buy about a week before the phones came out, but right after they announced pre-orders. I did sign up for a 32 gig iPhone 4S, knowing that with the buyback on my 4, that I would get enough money to buy the new 32 gig phone. Well, lo and behold, Friday came around. They did not have any phones. In fact, they did not get any Sprint phones at all.
Wow.
They got plenty of 4Ss for Verizon, for AT&T, but none for Sprint. So Saturday morning I got up and I walked over to the Sprint store near about 2 miles away from my home. And not only did I buy their last 4S 32 gig, but they gave me just about as good of a trade-in deal for my iPhone 4 as Best Buy would. So overall, I like the iPhone 4S. Being on Sprint, it's a great thing because now my wife and I have a really good family share plan, and I think it's great. Now we have the best of all worlds. I do like Sprint. I do like the iPhone, and in my book, I think that iPhone Sprint is a good thing. So anyway, keep up the good work, and I enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for sharing your experience on that, Clint. And, over the weekend, I actually got the 3GS phone I had, finally got it unlocked, did the old switcheroo. So my wife has the 3GS. My daughter now has the old iPhone 1, and she's thrilled. Not so thrilled that she can't have her own Apple account and get apps. She still has to go through me for that. But so I've got 2 phones on T-Mobile, hacked, one on AT&T. And we're quite happy to stay on T-Mobile, to be honest with you, as long as we can with the pricing that we've got with our current plan. So I'm glad you're happy with Sprint. Love to hear how your speed goes. I know that my Sprint mobile card has been much slower here since the launch, and we'll see how the Sprint network is able to maintain. I got an interesting email here from Trucker Tom. He said, hey, found this interesting link on Drudge Report. Red tape government cameras in your car? E-toll patent hats at Big Brother's future. So I have this link up in the show notes. Thanks for that, Trucker Tom. Got another one here from Trucker Tom about a mystery condition causes a woman to age 50 years in a few days. This is just sad. This woman is a nice looking young lady, and whatever happened to her just in a couple of days, she now looks like she's 70. Very odd condition. But anyway, thanks for that, Trucker Tom. Got an email here from George. George, sorry about the getting the email in your inbox today that wasn't supposed to be there. I appreciate it. We'll definitely try not to do that again. Got an email here from Neil, and a bunch of links folks had sent me. Neil had sent me a link on, let me let this load. Sent me a YouTube. Oh, he sent me the video on the quantum levitation. So the same thing that I talked about earlier in the show about the video from Tel Aviv and the university there. I think everyone's going to love it. Neil loved it as well. Also got an article over from Steve. Steve sent it to me. Hey, Todd, check this out. The Power of Android. It's a TechCrunch article talking about Iris as sort of a Siri for Android. So I'll have that link up in the show notes. Thank you so much. And a final article here is from from Bruce, and he was also pretty. Actually, he sent me over to see a new synth. This was a Etch Brath synth. This was over on MakeZine. This is a what do they call that when they make something? It looks like a is it Skunkworks? No, what do they call it? Oh man, I'm pulling a brain fart here. A steampunk. It's a steampunk synth, so this is pretty cool, and it's interesting what the work that people do to come up with stuff that's steampunk. So anyway, I have that link up in the show notes and all good stuff that had come on email. So we're long. We're going to get out of here. Everyone, thanks for hanging with me, and sorry about that beep 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 interruption. You probably couldn't hear it, but I definitely could hear it here on this end. But it was too annoying to continue. I may have cut some of it out for some of you, so we didn't have such a big interruption. But until next time, everyone take care. Thanks for hanging out with me. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. At Geek News on Twitter. We'll be back with you on Thursday. Until next time, aloha.